What's up, everybody? JJ Buckets here, and I'm gonna need you to check your watch because it is time to talk basketball.
Yeah, it's about that time. It's even in the Eastern time zone.
Now, for today's video, I thought I'd have a look at the NBA draft, but do something a little bit different, I guess, from the norm, or I guess from what most people are doing out there at the moment, because right now, obviously in Raptors Nation, most of the talk is around the number 4 pick, which is perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. Obviously, there's reason to be excited about that and the guy that, you know, the Raptors could get at that spot. But naturally, the Raptors do have 2 more picks in this draft, right? They have 2 second rounders, which would be the 46 and the 47, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought I'd take a look at some of the guys a bit further in this draft that maybe aren't being talked about. Guys that, you know, the Raptors could potentially land around those spots, or maybe they package those picks together to move up to get one of these guys, or maybe just a guy that honestly might even go undrafted that the Raptors could still get their hands on and could turn into something. You can find good, talented role players, starters, potentially superstars sometimes, all over the draft, right? And if there's one thing I know about the Raptors, it's that they have fantastic player development. So as much as, you know, the number 4 pick is very exciting and it should be a massive W for the Raptors, I want to take a look at some guys that, with the right work, you know, on this Toronto Raptors team and with the Raptors player development, should have at least a chance to, you know, carve out a good role in the NBA. That being said, let's hop into the video. So the first guy I want to take a look at here is kind of a relative unknown, with all due respect to him, of course, Ekim Onu. Ekim Onu is a power forward slash center that has kind of flown under the radar because, I mean, he doesn't play at a Division I school. He had a bit of an unorthodox path to the NBA draft, so just a lot of scouts I feel like aren't really paying that much attention to him. But there are a couple of reasons to be excited about him and a couple of reasons to think that, you know, with the Raptors development, he could turn into something. The 2 reasons here being is he is a fantastic floor spacing option. I think shooting is not something that is difficult for him whatsoever, and I think both, you know, as just a natural floor spacer at the big man position, you know, being the 5, or as a pick and pop option, this guy is somebody that can bring value to your team. On top of which, the measurables of this guy, they're kind of crazy. I mean, he measured in at 6'10", but what's really exciting is the 7'8" wingspan that this guy has. I think that gives him a lot of potential to, you know, be a quality defender at the NBA level, you know, just having those measurables. And I think with the Raptors player development, this is a guy that, you know, give him a couple of years, because frankly, obviously, you know, when you're going this late into the draft, a lot of these guys will need the development with the coaching staff, which is perfectly fine, but give him a few years, and this is a guy that could legitimately work himself, excuse me, into the rotation and be a quality contributor for the Raptors. Kessler Edwards is another name that I want to look at in this draft process, and apparently he's been turning heads at workouts. Like NBA Twitter, if you just go surf it, has just been going nuts about this guy and about, you know, what he's been doing. So somebody I think that's worth looking at as well. I think he's a guy that can play both wing spots, which for a team like the Raptors that could use a little bit of wing depth off the bench, it wouldn't hurt adding a guy of his caliber to the team. I think there's a chance that maybe he moves up even a little bit outside of the Raptors' range, but if they have a chance to take him, I think this is a guy that's worth a look. I think he has plenty of offensive prowess, despite the fact that, you know, he's got a weird looking jumper. I mean, it's dropping, so whatever works, right? I mean, Sean Marion had one of the weirdest looking jumpers, but hey, yeah, if it works, it works. I think he's a good player. I think he has a chance to really add some quality rotational talent to the Raptors, and I think, you know, alleviate pressure off OG Anunoby, because if you're not, say, going with Jonathan Kuminga at the number 4 spot, you know, wing depth is something that the Raptors still need to address, and this is a guy that could potentially fit the bill if you're looking at him with your second round pick. Isaiah Todd is another player I want to take a look at here. He's somebody that also decided to take the G League route leading up to this draft alongside, you know, his teammates Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga. Those guys played together on the G League Ignite, and naturally when you're playing along talents like that, you're not going to get the most attention from that group. But there is reason to be excited about Isaiah Todd. He's somebody that seems to have quick feet. I think he keeps up with players on the perimeters really well. He's somebody that should be able to be a good rim protector, and coupled with that, he's modest at stretching the court. It's a good combination for, I'd say, a modern day big where, you know, plays good defense, switchable, showed enough on the offensive end in particular, stretches the court well enough to really create that spacing for your offense. And we all know the Raptors struggled with the big man spot, struggled obviously fielding quality centers out there and quality 5-men. So this is a guy that could help the problem for sure. If he's not an immediate impact player, he's definitely a player that, you know, with a couple of years of development under the Raptors coaching staff, should be a guy that can make an impact for this team. And this is a guy that, you know, there's a good chance will be available around that, you know, the second round picks that the Raptors have. So he is definitely a guy that I think is worth a good long look from the Raptors. There's a growing theme here of discussing bigs, and this next one is absolutely going to be one as well. Charles Bassey is somebody that is exciting to watch. He is somebody that is super explosive, athletic, has no issues playing above the rim, and should be a fantastic pick and roll, lob threat, you name it, you know, for the Raptors at the 5-man spot, should they be in a position to add him. Now, he's kind of been quietly rising up draft boards, so he might be more of a late first round pick, but if he does slip into the second round, the Raptors have a chance to trade up and get him. I think it could be a worthy investment here for sure. Bassey is somebody that, coupled with the, you know, ability to energize your team offensively with his offense, he's somebody that has a very just big frame. He's a strong player, he's a speedy player, he should be a good defender as well, or should at least be able to be developed into a good defender. So he is a player that with the Raptors development team, with the coaching staff, he could either be an immediate impact guy if they take him, you know, somewhere in the second round, or, you know, a guy that's like 1 or 2 years away, obviously takes the route that some of the recent Raptors have, like a Chris Boucher or Fred VanVleet, where you go down to the G League, you really hone in on your craft, then you come back up, you make an impact. He has a chance to do that. He really has a chance to do that for this team. I'd be worried that he might be rising up too much to be out of the Raptors draft range, but there's also a good opportunity that if the Raptors really like him, they could move up and get him. And frankly, he's somebody that I just see fitting like a glove on this team. Jason Preston is the last guy that I want to throw into the mix here, and I know, point guard is not an issue for the Raptors. They have Freddie, they have Malachi. This is more of a forward-thinking move in my head. I think Preston is somebody that you can take the time, you can really kind of coach him up in your system, and then you can deploy him when, say, you want to rework the roster, or there's a star available and that's going to involve a trade where you have to throw in somebody like Malachi, you know, to really get it done, assuming he flashes enough next season. Or Fred VanVleet, if you want to turn him into a big star, or whatever the case may be. Basically, this is a forward-thinking move on my part, where if the Raptors do rework the roster, where they need another point guard to kind of move up in the rotation or move himself, you know, to the back end of the bench, I think he's a guy who, you know, is worth a look. He greatly improved his shooting in his last season, and he has very good passing ability as well. He should be a guy that, you know, you would be confident in leading your bench unit if you take the time to really develop him in your system. And obviously the Raptors here can afford that time. They have that luxury, so why not be a little forward thinking? So that does it for me today. What do you folks think? I know a lot of the hype, I know a lot of the talk right now is around that number 4 pick, but I just think about some guys that have come later in the draft of late and have turned into quality starters or stars. Hell, I mean, the first guy that comes to my head is obviously Nikola Jokic, who just won MVP and was a second-round pick by the Denver Nuggets. So all I'm saying is, I understand the hype around the 4 pick. I'm hyped as hell too, but it's always worth, you know, doing the due diligence and looking at some of the guys that come further in the draft, because a lot of times they turn out to be, you know, just as stellar, or if not just as stellar, they turn out to be quality pieces as well. So that being said, let me know which of these names is your favorite, and if you have a name that I, you know, didn't talk about here that you really like, that could potentially be there in the second round, comment below, let me know. I'm always excited to hear it. I love just kind of like sifting through all the prospects, watching the tapes, watching the highlights, and, you know, seeing if anybody catches my eye. So drop those names below. I would love to take a look at them. Other than that, you know the usual drill. There's a like button. I want to see you hit that like button. It helps the video reach a bigger audience, and it's super appreciated whenever you folks do it. Just truly, it helps my heart just grow just a little bit more. Other than that, you know what I'm going to talk about. You know it's the subscribers. You know this balance ain't shit. Yeah, I mean, hit the subscribe button if you're here for the first time. Greatly appreciated. I am well on my way, I'd like to think, in terms of building this community, and I've super enjoyed building this community, so I'd like to keep building it. So if you're here for the first time, or if you've been around for a couple of videos and you've been on the fence about hitting that button, this is your sign to do it. Smash that button. Smash it. Break the keyboard. Break your phone. I don't care what device you're on. Break it. And hit that button. Other than that, that's gonna do it for me today, and I am out of here.